appreciate you all taking your time to listen to your nation's 44th President, Barack Obama. That's me. Anyway, let's get started. I was born on August 4th, 1961. Here's a cool fact about my name. In an African language called Swahili, my name means blessed. I took the name of my father. Although my name was Bra, I was called Barry throughout my lifetime. My biological parents' names were Brock and Stanley. By the way, Stanley was my mom, a girl. She had a boy's name because her dad always wanted a boy, and so named her the only child, Stanley. Now that you've heard about my birth, it's now time for you to hear about the life that I lived with growing up. My parents split up when I was 2 years old because my dad wanted to study at Harvard University in Massachusetts to study, but my mom didn't want to leave Hawaii. I was only 10 years old before I saw my father. My mother later married another man named Lolo. She met him when he was studying at the University of Hawaii. He was from Indonesia, so my mom moved there when he finished his studies. I was bullied back then, so Lolo taught me how to box to defend myself. I became a popular basketball player. In fact, I was called Barry Obama because of my great jump shot. I also had a pet when I was little, pet 8. I even had chickens, ducks, and even alligators that lived in my backyard. But I think that's enough about my youth. Let's talk about my adult years. My mother later also split up with Lolo. So me, my mom, and my little sister Maya moved into a little apartment. Later on, my mother began to study for a PhD in anthropology, the study of different cultures. My mom saw that I was a bright student and wanted me to have a better education, so she sent me back to Hawaii to live with my grandparents. When I was 10 years old to study at the top private school there, Punahou School. When I finished at Punahou, I studied at Occidental, called Oxy for short. This school was in Pasadena, California. And for the first time ever, I was living on the U.S. mainland. There, I studied about the lives of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Early on thought that violence was the only way to end segregation. I was trying to find out what made sense to me. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. MLK Jr. thought that peaceful protest would end segregation, where Malcolm X early on thought that violence was sometimes the only way to end segregation. I was trying to find out which side made more sense to me. At Oxy, I hung out with the other black students. We talked a lot about politics. I became interested in South Africa during our talks. I invited speakers to come talk about South Africa. We gave speeches about apartheid, which is a system relating to segregation. Anyway, after my first 2 years at Oxy, I transferred to Columbia University, located in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. When I walked around the city, I saw other black neighborhoods. I also saw families living in poverty. My mother and sister came to New York City for a long visit. They would spend the evenings with me. That's when I got a letter from my father. He asked me to visit Kenya. I agreed to visit him after I graduated. Unfortunately, he died the year before I graduated in a car accident. After this, I became more serious about what I wanted to do in the future. I decided that I wanted to help poor people and fix problems. I wanted to become a lawyer So I applied to Harvard Law School in Boston, Massachusetts. Ironic, since my dad went there years before too. Before I attended Harvard, I visited Kenya and also visited my father's large family as well as his grave. This was a very emotional trip for me. Let's move on. Let's talk about my future wife, Michelle. I was hired at a big law firm in Chicago, so I needed to buy new clothes because all I had were a t-shirt and jeans. A beautiful woman named Michelle Robinson showed me around on my first day. Even though she was 2 years younger than me, she was already a lawyer. When I returned to Harvard, we had fallen in love. In 1992, we got married. I took a job in a law firm handling civil rights. I taught evening classes at the University of Chicago Law School about the Constitution. Later on, I decided to run for an Illinois Senate seat. I ran as a Democrat. I won by many votes. At that time, I was 35 years old. Michelle and I had a daughter named Malia in 1998. After that, we had another daughter named Natasha in 2001. She is now better known as Sasha. Now, let's talk about my contributions to this great nation. The most important contribution I made to this country was probably breaking the racial barrier. And I was elected in 2008 when I got the presidential title. And I'm the very first African American president. I've also made health case reform called the Affordable Care Act, ended the war in Iraq, and eliminated Osama bin Laden under my watch. Well, I thank you for listening to me on this special day. God bless you. God bless this country.